I do have two questions for the DA Donovan, and we have the DA Donovan chair. So, do we have Lucille? Please, Lucille, come up and ask your question. And then, do I have Joan? Come on up, Joan. You'll ask the question next.
Yes, speak into the microphone. Very loudly.
Basically, I'm concerned about representation here in Bay Ridge. My question was, how did Mr. Donovan think he was going to represent Bay Ridge when his power base is in Staten Island? But this is something that has plagued me practically all my voting life. Why are we married to Staten Island? Bay Ridge deserves its own representation. The people in Staten Island don't think the way we do. Why can't we divorce ourselves from Staten Island? Why can't we have our own congressman, or at least have whatever congressman, a congressperson is representing the rest of an attached area of Brooklyn? Why can't we be attached to that? Why do we have to be the sliver of Brooklyn that's married to Staten Island?
Okay, before you answer, there's
Staten Island tries to secede from America.
Oh, well, that would be great. I'd love it.
They tried it
I
years
take
ago.
that personally. I live there.
Good morning. I couldn't agree with you more. My question was, good morning. I couldn't agree with you more. My question, Vinny, will you work to change the election district so that Brooklyn stands alone and not tied to Staten Island for voting purposes? Stop the gerrymandering just to ensure that Republicans do not monopolize Brooklyn voters. Southern Brooklyn is beholden to keep the Republicans in some seat in Congress and the state and the city. The district goes down with Marty Golden wins all the time. I have nothing against Marty Golden, but we have no choice. He gets Bay Ridge, he gets Dyker Heights, he gets Bensonhurst, Gravesend. It even goes to Marine Park. So please, let's be who we are, Brooklyn. We're not Staten Island. Let Staten Island do their thing and we'll do our own thing.
Staten Island used to be part of the 17th CD, which also included Lower Manhattan. Okay, I lived in the Tribeca. Okay, so and then it was reconfigured, and one of the reasons it was reconfigured was to make it more conservative, because Lower Manhattan has all those lefties down there, you know, like me, etc. Represented, unfortunately, by John Murphy, who ended up going to jail. So the point is, a district has to have a certain number of people. Staten Island by itself does not have a sufficient population, so it has to be hooked into something else. You want it to go back to lower? I'm just saying, I understand. What I'm trying to say is, by law, a congressional district has to have a certain number of people. It used to be part of the 17th CD. Some of you may remember Mary Todd and other people, like John Murphy, who ended up going to jail in that scandal, okay? So there's been a whole configuration, and that is why Staten Island ended up into whatever. I live in Staten Island. If I win, when I win, I will be as vigorous in representing. I go to the senior center, because the senior centers here are better than the ones in Staten Island, okay? So I'll be working as hard for the people in Bay Ridge, Dyker Heights, etc., as I would for the people in Staples, okay? But anyway, I understand how you do.
Let me just say that the district lines are drawn by the state legislature, and they do it. The next time they would do it would be 2020, and that's the next after the next census, which is 2020. So the new lines would probably be drawn and take effect in 2022, and so that is they do it every 10 years. So these lines that we have now were drawn after the last census by the state legislature. So actually Congress has very little say over how the state legislature draws those lines.
We've also been represented by the state, because our assembly district is also a sliver. Our assemblyman lives in Coney Island,
Right.
does not live in Bay Ridge, has no real interest in Bay Ridge until it's election time. I have nothing against him, but we're a stepchild.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, but, you know, I've shown in the past my commitment to both sides of the bridge, and I will continue that. And frankly, as I travel Staten Island, I can't tell you how many people I've met who were former Brooklynites, and now in Staten Island. So, and people who said to me, oh, I remember you from St. Bernadette, I remember you from St. Anselm's, or this senior center, or that senior center. So there's a melding of population more than you think that Bridge has brought together Staten Island and Brooklyn in more ways than you think. And so the people of Staten Island, many of them used to be people of Brooklyn. So in this particular case, I think I could do a very good job of representing both sides of the bridge, not only based on what I say, but based on what I've done. But I understand your concern, and again, that's an issue that needs to be taken up at census time with the state legislature.
Staten Island sound just like the
And so this is one of
sound the same.
This is one of those situations where, you know, Vinny said he has 18 years of legislative experience, and I'm just a fighter. And so regardless of what the state does versus the federal does, I think that districts should be comprised of the communities that neighbor them. I mean, when I look at the map of Bay Ridge, for example, I have friends that live in Bay Ridge, so, you know, just because I currently don't live in the district, I visit the district all the time to see my friends. You know, I have family that lives in Staten Island as well. But it's so disgusting to me that my friends can't vote for me, that I can't represent them because of the way this district is gerrymandered. And, you know, your neighbor across the street is not being represented by the same person as you are. That's not right. And this is just a way for politicians to, you know, capitalize on the fact that they think they can get more votes from a particular group of people by doing this kind of thing. And it's not right. It's not a fair representation that you people need. You know, in Staten Island, I think Staten Island is big enough that it should be its own congressional district. I mean, just for the fact alone that the only way you can get to it is by ferry and a very costly bridge, people feel imprisoned out there. So maybe they need, you know, their own district so that they can build the resources they need to be self-sufficient. You know, like someone said, they did want to secede from the United States. And I think that a lot of these districts can be grouped together to help build their communities better. So, I mean, even though I wouldn't have any power to do it, but I would like to see if there's a possibility to push legislation that states can't gerrymander this way. If it's so blatant on what they're doing, if you look, it's a jigsaw puzzle when you look at Bay Ridge, Bensonhurst, and Dyker Heights. And I said, there's a projects. There's the Marlboro houses in the thing. How does that make it into the mix? It's so sinister, and we need to stop it some way or another. And I'll be that voice. As I'm speaking here, I'll speak in Congress. That is wrong, and people aren't getting represented fairly.
Thank you. I want to thank you. We're not done yet, but you are a fantastic audience, and we're getting close to it. So I have a few more questions from the audience. Alan Bortnick, come on up, please, ask your questions.
With your permission, I'll talk from here. I think I can be heard in the room.
Go.
Bay Ridge and its environs is the largest collection of seniors per square mile in the United States. And I want to thank the Council on Aging for having this particular forum. We have a very serious problem. It's been covered here, but I'm going to bring it up again. Most of the seniors in here have been collecting Social Security and the benefits of Medicare, Medicaid, and, of course, their Social Security checks. Unfortunately, the government runs a lot differently than has been expressed here. John Boehner runs Congress. He's a Republican, and I assume that even though he's absent, Mr. Donovan is going to follow his